Before I start this video, this will be one of my last Hell Let Loose videos on this channel. Most of them will be put up on the first person channel. So please, we're trying to get to 500 subscribers on there, so make sure you go and check it out for all your FPS content. Hell Let Loose is probably my favourite World War II shooter of all time, and that might be quite rich. I know many people love the Call of Duty World Wars out there, and even things along the lines of Postscriptum, but for me, it's Hell Let Loose. One of the best current and more realistic shooters out there, especially in a year where Call of Duty is, well, Call of Duty, and Battlefield 2042 flopped more than a fat man on a diving board. I'm really happy that we still have some solid, sturdy shooters out there, and that is where Hell Let Loose comes in. But Hell Let Loose's developers, Black Matter Studios, have been hard at work. We got the Eastern Invasion expansion, bringing in Stalingrad and Kursk, and of course a ton new weapons. Now, even more recently, we've had a whole brand new overhaul update, bringing in Panzer IVs, half-tracks, letting people use them as mobile spawn points, and a plethora of new weapons, including that dastardly trench gun. But there's been a lot of talk about the future of Hell Let Loose, and a future that is incredibly exciting. You see, as mentioned, Black Matter Games are the developers of the title. They are under the umbrella of Team 17, a pretty big publisher. Team 17 haven't really forced Black Matter to do anything in terms of the development of their title. They're pretty much letting them get on with what they want to do and the vision they want to complete. However, they have had the money and the budget in order to help it do other things. For example, promoting it out to more people and making it a more mainstream title, getting it onto consoles, which has been a massive boost for the player base. Additionally, putting it on PlayStation Plus, which once again is a very popular platform, a subscription service that gives PlayStation players access to plenty of titles, and now Hell Let Loose is on that service. But this was when it was just more of a third-party publisher, more of a hands-off, wind in the developers' backs. But Team 17 wanted more, and this is where it gets exciting. More recently, Team 17 have fully acquired Black Matter. They've bought the rights and the IP to Hell Let Loose, and it is part of their franchises now, for $46 million. That is a bit of a pretty penny. Maybe when you think of the scheme of things, with massive acquisitions going on, especially like Microsoft rumoring to be buying Activision Blizzard for billions and billions, that might not seem so much. But just remember, realistic shooters are few and far between, especially when it comes to first-person titles. Most fall off after a while, but Hell Let Loose has stood the test of time. But what has Team 17 said, and what are Black Matter hoping that this acquisition will prove in the future? Well, we've recently had a quote. It will enable Team 17 to create additional opportunities to extend the life cycle of the existing game, including further downloadable content and ongoing support, as well as exploring potential sequels and other commercial opportunities for the Hell Let Loose IP to drive the long-term growth and value of the Hell Let Loose franchise. And when I saw this, I was incredibly excited. First of all, having a much bigger budget around a relatively small title like Hell Let Loose will push it so much further than it already has done on its own. Granted, gameplay is one thing, having word of mouth is another, but actually promoting and having the money to promote it to the next level can really take a great game to a fantastic mainstream title, especially in a time where, as mentioned, Call of Duty and Battlefield have started to fall off. There is a need for something big, a first-person shooter title to rival those other ones, and unfortunately most just don't have the budget. They're not able to bring the resources, the teams, and the money together in order to rival anything close to a DICE or an Activision. But now, even though it's not nearly that point in terms of money, it's starting to head that way. And if anyone can do it, I really think Hell Let Loose could be that game. It's about to become an incredibly mainstream series. And yes, I do mention series. Not only in this quote have they mentioned that they're going to be bringing in further downloadable content and of course updates and support, but the big points are exploring potential sequels, a new Hell Let Loose, maybe in something that isn't set in World War II. World War I would be an incredible position for this because they have that realistic gameplay. Yes, it's nowhere near the squad or the Postscriptum level, but I think it is the perfect balance between fun and realism in a game, and transferring the gameplay of Hell Let Loose isn't that far away from a World War I experience. We've seen it with Verdun and Tannenberg in the past, and the upcoming Isonzo in the same series. They've been really successful World War I games, but they've not really had the budget, and they've not really had the budget to stop it from falling falling off after a while. Hell Let Loose could be a potential driver to push people back into that World War I era. Not only this, but there's other eras such as Vietnam to look into, a very underused and underrated time era that has so much to explore in terms of first-person shooters. It's been looked at by the battlefields of the past, but it's never been really utilized to its full potential. And of course, in this quote, they mentioned that Hell Let Loose is now becoming a franchise, so this is definitely something on their minds. But is it all good? Is this all a positive for the game that we have right now? You see, whilst part of me is very happy that there's a much bigger budget and much more support around Hell Let Loose, one of my favourite games of all time, it does kind of worry me for the life of the game we have right now, because that's the title that I love. Not a potential sequel in the future, not a potential new era, but the World War II first-person shooter that is out right now. And anything that puts in more money, that has executives trying to push it into the future with more franchises and sequels, has the potential to risk losing what made it brilliant, what made Hell Let Loose so attractive to a mix of hardcore and casual first-person shooter players in this current generation. I love the way that Hell Let Loose is going, and I think there's so much more potential for it to be expanded, and I really want to see more updates. I mean, we don't even have the British or the French in the game at the moment, two big features that I really want to see. I don't want that to be saved for a sequel. I don't want them to forget it and just go on to other titles in this Hell Let Loose franchise. I think there is still too much potential for this game to be left right now. So do I want to see a sequel? Yes. I do want to see some stuff in the Hell Let Loose franchise in the future. Going to different eras, experimenting a little bit more, using more updated technology, going from Unreal 4 to Unreal Engine 5, adding in things like bigger battles and destructible terrain would be a fantastic addition. But I don't want it yet. I think this game still has 4-5 years still on it of development time that could continue to grow the player base and continue to make it the brilliant game that it is today. And I do fear that this looking into the future could have knock-on effects to the title we already have. But please let me know what you think. Are you excited by this potential of sequels and more games in the franchise? If so, what would you like to see them add to another title here? But most of all, is it really necessary? Should they stick with what they have right now, or should they be looking into the future? Let me know down in the comments. But leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, leave a dislike if you didn't. And as mentioned, this is probably going to be one of my last Hell Let Loose videos on this channel, so go and check out the FPS channel for all that content. But until then, I will see you in the next one.